The Grow My Cleaning Company podcast helps owners of cleaning companies just like you to grow your company and yourself so you can make more money and finally get the time and money freedom that probably got you into this business. Discover how to automate and create systems that allow you to grow like crazy without losing control. If you dig the show and want to show some love, subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes. It really helps. Enjoy the show.
Hey, Cleaning Nation, it's Lindsay Bjorklund, and I am back today with Tracy Thompson, our head mindset coach guru. And today we're talking about something a little bit different than Tracy and I usually do. And I'm really excited about this one when Tracy came to me with this idea. I'll give you a hint. We're going to be talking about numbers. Don't be scared. We'll come back to that. Don't be scared, Clean Nation. We're going to be talking about numbers, tracking your numbers, how procrastination plays into this. And really, today's topic is officially, make sure I say this tongue twister correctly, it's the silent killer of cleaning companies. And hint, hint, it's probably not what you think it's going to be, but we're going to come back to that at the end. But Tracy, I'm going to let you take it away. And I just kind of want to start with a question for you is when people come on a mindset call, when our clients come to you and the numbers comes up, topic of numbers, are you tracking your numbers? What's some common stuff you hear?
Well, it's a very charged, yes, pun intended, charged topic. We have so much as human beings, just forget being an owner for a minute, just as human beings. Everything, and I always say this to people, I can show you in 1 degree of separation everything in your life and money, your relationship with money. And so this is a really, really hot topic. It pushes buttons. It makes us feel a certain way. And so when it comes to the numbers, right, the numbers are all correlated ultimately with the health and wellness of the business, i.e. money. Right. So it's all connected back to our sort of personal relationship with money. And so because we know some of the top 3 like topics on the planet that are the most charged is sex, religion, and money. And so not necessarily in that order. But so it's no wonder that when people come onto a mindset call, for example, with me, and we start talking about their numbers in the business. What are they? Let's pull up your P&L. Let's look at what you've been tracking. And they start kind of getting that cold sweat, right? That look in their eyes like, oh, uh-oh. Even when they have what they believe to be profitable businesses, big businesses. We have people come to our program already generating, really big dollars, have a big business and lots of clients. So this doesn't just apply to people that maybe feel like they don't have enough. So that's the other end of the spectrum. So it doesn't matter whether they're booming and have lots and lots of revenue coming in, or they feel like they're just starting or they're struggling. Their relationship with the numbers is what's at the core. So, and the fear and all the insecurities and trepidations come up regardless. So if you're thinking to yourself, well, I'm doing pretty well, or I'm just starting, or I'm somewhere in the middle, so this doesn't apply to me, trust me. Once we dive in, you're going to see how this applies to everyone. So the biggest fear is they haven't been doing it right. Like, if I look, I probably have not paid attention enough to the right things, or it's going to reveal that I don't know as much as I should about certain things in my business, or I'm not controlling things the way I should, or, and we're just off to the races of all the fear-based monkey mind, what we call the monkey mind, thoughts and stories start to just flood in. So that's usually what happens when we first start talking numbers.
Yeah, I'm surprised when we have new clients. Like you said, it's a broad spectrum. It affects people that are just starting. I just threw my pen. If you're on video, you can see that. That was an accident. it affects, so passionate about this subject. I'm just throwing my pen. But it affects people just starting. It, like you said, it affects people that have been doing this for decades. And it definitely opens some skeletons in the closet. I feel like when I'm on elite calls, I'm on those calls with Mike and Jared, so I get to see the questions people ask, and when they're group coaching with Mike even, it's just fascinating just to add how many different reactions are, because some people are very humble and they're like, hey, I don't know, I'm here to learn, and that makes sense. But then you see people too that are very guarded about it, especially when they're already successful, but something's not quite working and they don't know why. So I just wanted to add that.
Or they're just afraid to be shown that they're not working as well as they maybe think that they are.
Mm-hmm.
And so, whether you fall onto the spectrum of, I don't look at my numbers as maybe as closely as I should, or I might, or I want to, because I feel like I don't make enough to really bother with it. Or I feel like I'm doing pretty well. I don't know that I necessarily want to dig in and look for potential problems, because that scares me, that I don't want to see that maybe there's something that isn't necessarily as good as we think. So I want to talk about, I want to back up a little bit and start giving some framework for Clean Nation out here about some of the things that Mike talks about this all the time. So this is not news, but I want to talk about it in the context of mindset. Some of the key performance indicators that cleaning companies need to have a handle on and don't look at nearly as closely as they should. Okay.
Right. So key point indicators, we hear those referred to in the business lingo as KPIs a lot. So what are those KPIs, Tracy? Well, lay it down.
So the first key performance indicator is your cost of goods sold, right? And Mike always talks about this, 50% of your revenue should go to cost of goods sold. And we're not going to get into like the weeds of like all the details of what that means, but that's one of the key performance indicators. Are your cost of goods sold 50%? The next is your overhead, your expenses, 30% or less? And then lastly, you should be making at least a 20% profit margin. And your P&L, your profit and loss sheet, is something that you should be able to pull up at any given moment during a month and be able to see exactly those indicators, like exactly where you are each month. Your book should be clean. And oftentimes what we find is when people come in and we haven't worked with them yet, and we're just having those first conversations, is just looking at the numbers of whether or not they're profitable. I mean, truly profitable by the 50, 30, 20 rule that I just talked about, is such an eye opener. And I'm never really stopping to evaluate whether their accounts are profitable individually and collectively. So they may be, assuming that they are profitable, or they've been measuring improperly, or they just haven't been tracking at all. And that's an eye opener for a lot of business owners, a lot of cleaning company owners, Lindsay. Look at those numbers for the first time with open eyes, and it is a shocker. Sometimes it's well, okay, I'm doing better than I thought I was, but most of the time, let's be honest, not so much. And they've kind of emotionally, mentally, or psychologically, been avoiding looking at that too closely up until that point. They had a sense of like, I know, we hear this all the time. I know I should be charging more. I knew that I should be charging more. And I kind of felt like I was paying too much, or I wasn't getting paid enough, but they didn't know for sure.
Yes.
So that's like, just take those simple, basic key performance indicators in a cleaning company business, and let's talk about why we don't look at it. Like, why are we not really diving in and holding ourselves more accountable and getting through the procrastination, ripping off the Band-Aid, right? And doing it.
Oh, I'm going to interrupt you 1 second.
Yes.
Hold that thought, because 3 quick things. Number 1, before everyone freaks out too much, like taking notes, scribbling, this is a deep dive into the 50-30-20 rule that Mike always mentions. And Cleaning Nation, there are a ton of our podcasts with Mike where he breaks this down. Just look on our playlist on YouTube, look through our podcast listing on Apples or wherever you on Apple or wherever you listen, just as a supplement to this. I think if you go back and listen to that first, that'll help a ton. But Tracy and I are going to break it down so it's totally easy to explain. So don't freak out too much. Second of all, I just wanted to note, Tracy, my favorite eye openers are for people that, I see them scared, like, oh God, I don't want to look at my numbers. And then once they do look at them, even if they're bad, they're like, oh my God, they see potential. Those are my favorites. Like, if I tweak one of these 3 KPIs, what a difference my life can make. And then I see our elite clients go out and make that change. And it just makes me so happy. Seriously.
It's so powerful, you guys, that even if you don't acquire another new client right now, if you're under profit, if you're not profitable yet, and you do just this, you break through for yourself through that fear, the fear of the unknown, and you tell yourself the new story. This is what I coach people to do. Tell yourself the new story, that knowing, even if it's not what you want at first, like maybe the numbers feel scary to you, but knowing is power, right? That's the first knowledge of power, right? That's the first step. So if you're willing to really hunker down, and if you need help with this, believe me, we're here to help you. And Lindsay's going to share with you in a minute how we can help you with this. But if you're willing to do that, there's so much potential, even with the numbers you have right now. So if you become, let's say you're under profit, let's say you only have 10% profitability. Your cost of goods sold is 10% too high, or whatever the case may be. You can fix that and not even have to acquire a brand new client in order to become profitable. And we've had so many members come in and do that alone. But trust me, this is a mindset and emotional thing first. Sorry, I'm getting choked up. It's so important. This is so important. So if your monkey mind has told you, but I'm too busy. I don't have time. I don't have the expertise. I don't know. I need a bookkeeper. All the excuses and the things that come up that keep us from truly being empowered in our business. My encouragement to you today is just take that step emotionally. Tell yourself the new story that knowing is better than flying blind. And that once you have that knowledge, you are going to be in a place of empowerment. And now you can take charge of your profit for once. And that's that's a life changer, game changer right there.
Yeah, that was a writer downer, as Mike would say right there. Knowing is better than, what was it, flying blinds?
Right. Knowing is always better than flying blind. Even if the numbers at first are not what you want, that's okay, because then you have the control to change it. You can't change what you're not measuring.
You cannot change what you're not measuring. Exactly. And you just sparked another idea. Sorry to speak over you, but we've had the complete opposite too, right? Where we've had newbie cleaning company owners that are just like, I don't need to track my numbers. I'm doing great. And then they actually do look at their numbers and they're like, wow, I was lucky. And now that I better know, I can make that luck, quote unquote, even better, because I can actually control it. Yeah.
That's, what we have a client who just moved out of our elite program into next level. And she and I had that conversation. She was just rocking it in revenue. She could barely keep up. Her big thing was hiring enough people because she had so much business. And when we sat down to really look at the numbers, she was like, well, I'm not really focused on that right now because I'm doing so well. And I was like, ooh, okay.
My face.
That's kind of like saying I'm in a race. Like, let's say I'm a NASCAR driver and I'm in the race and I'm ahead, but I'm refusing to look at my dashboard of all that, right? My instrument panel of telling me that my engine is getting hot, I'm running low on fuel, like all these things. Imagine a race where you didn't take a pit stop, you didn't check in, you weren't looking at your dashboard, you didn't know what is going on under the hood, you didn't understand it. That is a recipe for disaster, even though you're ahead. So this does not, you are not exempt as an owner. None of us are. Even if you're doing well or you feel like you're doing well. And kind of almost the enemy of ultimate greatness in our business, the millionaire mindset, as I call it, the enemy of that is the good. The enemy of the great is the good, meaning I'm doing okay. I'm doing okay. And I don't know why exactly. I just feel like I'm doing okay. I feel like I'm doing all right. Like that is the enemy of greatness, because the only way that you can truly grow and master your business and be the leader that you need to be is to be in the know. You have to understand and see your numbers, or else you're, that luck is just that and luck turns. So you be in control.
It's like going to Vegas and having beginner's luck, baby. Doesn't end well. You're the one in Vegas. You should know.
Yeah, exactly. And trust me, that's not a pretty picture when it turns. And interestingly enough, this particular client that I was working with, once we started looking at her numbers, she saw so much as she was leaving on the table. She was like, oh my gosh, things were not happening the way she thought that they were, because she was so focused on the revenue and trying to handle new clients that she wasn't paying attention to some of the really key stuff underneath that, if she had ignored it much longer, would have come back to bite her. So
I like that, Tracy. You just covered the whole spectrum of someone doing awesome when they first started, someone not doing so awesome, people that have been doing this for years. Like that really shows how it can affect someone literally in every level of their business. So Tracy, to sum it up, okay, in one or two sentences, what would you say is the silent killer of cleaning companies, to sum it up for us?
The silent killer of cleaning companies is definitely ignorance. Is unwillingness to look at and track and be in charge of, be the boss, be the master of your numbers. That's the silent killer.
All right, guys, I don't have anything better to leave it off on than that. So there you go. So today, get your numbers together, baby. At the end of these calls with Tracy, I like to do kind of like our fast action, take action now kind of theme over all of our calls, Tracy. And even if you're like, I don't need my cleaning company's help, that's fine. We just ask that maybe today, when you're listening to this podcast, whenever that is, that you sit down and you pull out your P&L sheet and you look at it. And is it what you thought it is? Is it not? Like, have an honest sit down with yourself. I think that is the number one step to take after listening to this podcast. Wouldn't you say, Tracy?
Absolutely. Just I used to call it a money date or an accounting date. Like, have a date, treat it like as if it were a relationship, because it is. Like, your relationship with your business starts and ends with your numbers. So set a date like you would if you were dating your spouse, or you're, going out on a date. Like, treat it with that kind of respect and fun and lightness, and just dive in. And if you're intimidated by that a little bit, and you say, well, you know what, I'm not sure I know what I'm looking at, or I need some support or want some support, then Lindsay, how do they do that? How can they talk to one of our coaches, for example, and get some support in moving forward and getting out of that fear?
Yeah, so what you're going to do is you're going to go to growmycleaningcompany.com /talk, TALK. And what that is that'll lead you to a link where you can fill out a form that helps you analyze where you're at right now, get you thinking about where you want to be, and then you can hop on a call with one of our coaches to come up with a plan and get you there. Based on your goals and where you're at. So definitely, I would say before you hop on that call, an extra like brownie point step, if you really want to be on top of it, pull out your P&L sheet, have a real date with yourself and your money. So that is it, Cleaning Nation. Tracy, thanks so much for hopping on with me. Really appreciate you. I know Cleaning, I can't talk today. I know Cleaning Nation loves hearing from you too. So until next time, we'll catch you then. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
I can't talk today.
Well, here we are, the end of the podcast, and you made it. Great job. I've got a little bonus for you for sticking through with me, but like I mentioned before, if you got value out of this podcast and you want to show a little love, subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes, Spotify, wherever the heck you're listening to this thing. Share with a friend, share the love. And as a special thank you for those of you that stuck with me to the end, how about I give you my personal phone number so we can text? It's a great way for me to get to know you, your business, your goals personally. So shoot me a text now, 602-932-6431. That's 602-932-6431. I am the only one who responds to these texts, and I will personally respond to everyone I possibly can as long as this number is manned. Don't know how long we're going to keep this at the end of the podcast, so grab it now, 602-932-6431. Give me a text, say hey, can't wait to meet you.